It's been a while though.
Oh, Chief, good evening. Yeah, it's been a while. I wasn't at the last one in February. I wasn't there. Um, I've made a lot of things, Sha. But thank God we are here today. Nice to meet with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So good to. So let me just be sure that I have the best network connection. Okay, I think we are live also. But the thing would be, let me see my. Okay, I think I have a strong connection. I'm not sure why this isn't loading or anything.
Have you ever felt like no matter how much you plan and schedule, you're always falling behind? It's exhausting, isn't it? We've been taught that to be productive, we need to manage every minute of our day. But what if that's the wrong approach? In mind management, not time management, David Kadavy introduces a refreshing idea. Success isn't about cramming more into your schedule. It's about working with your mind, not against it. David Kadavy never saw himself as a writer, but when he landed a book deal he couldn't refuse, he had to figure out how to make it work. He tried the usual tricks, blocking out time, cutting out distractions, but nothing seemed to help. That's when he discovered something unexpected. The secret to productivity wasn't about controlling his time, it was about managing his mental energy. Instead of forcing himself to follow a rigid schedule, he started aligning his tasks with his natural mental states. This shift made all the difference, allowing him to make real progress on his book.
When you write, your tone influences how
YouTube
readers
has to do what it what it does best, advertise. I'm sure we got the meat of the video. We got an understanding of the video and the meat of it. Or I was the only one listening to it.
Yeah, we all heard. So the 1 minute was like exciting recap of the entire book.
Very good. Very
If we have
good.
all read the book, at least up to 50%.
I like that you added if we have all read the book. So let me just go into the introduction, the usual introduction, and the welcome. Then I can then pass the baton back to you and Daniela. So welcome everyone to our interest. This is supposed to be our February book review, but for some reason we had to move it from last week, Saturday, to this week. So it means that we will be having 2 book reviews in March. Okay, so let's mute as we come in. That would also help manage. Thank you. So please just, those that I have given the co-host access, please do help manage the settings so that we don't have much noise. So welcome again, everybody. And for people who are watching our live stream, I think it's live streaming now. Do you guys see that already? Do you
Can't
see
confirm from my side.
Can anyone do? Okay, I already
I
see.
think I got a notification that is sending to a third party. I thought that was when you were sharing to that.
Zoom now these days, it's just as it, there are a number of things that have changed about the setting, so it's okay. So just like what I was saying, welcome everybody to our February book review. February book review happening on the 1st of March. But then this is, if February were to be 30 days or 31 days, yes, it will have still been in February. But then it is what it is. So just to manage also our expectation, I'll expect that to gather us, to convene us again. I think we're targeting third week of this month or fourth week, but we'll make sure that at least we have good engagement in our closed group before that day. So just to quickly move on, so the Business and Leadership book club was founded in 2019 January, and the intention is to build a community of book lovers who would glean knowledge from books and then do well in their personal and professional lives. And this, I think we have many testimony and testaments to all fulfilling the purpose in this regard. So welcome everybody, to members and also people who are just visiting. And we hope that you have a good time. So for this month, the book is Mind Management, Not Time Management by David Kadavy. And that short video I played earlier also quite explains, like summarized the book in 1 minute. But what we'll be doing is to go in depth and also put in some practical life application because beyond just reading the books, we want to also apply, and then that's where we can gain the full benefits from the book. And to lead conversation today, we have the moderator, able moderator, awesome tribe member, Chika Akaize. Oh, there's an error on your name and you didn't notice yourself. Is Akaize, pardon that. And then Daniela Awo. So I'm going to just pass on the baton to them. But for your knowledge, we're on LinkedIn and Facebook and also Instagram. Please follow us. And recently, I see the tribe members creating super content. So follow us to see more. And if you want to be part of the social media team for the book club, I think the door is still opened. Oladre would confirm. So on this note, I pass the baton to Akaize Chika. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Madam Ife. That was a very, very heartwarming introduction. Welcome everyone to February's book review session. Let me kick off with a personal story for myself. I've been part of this book club since 2022. And every year we seem to have one book that we read and it just hits you like Rema, like never before. In 2022, for me, it was the 4-hour
Like
work
an
week.
atomic habit. I know. Did I get in
4-hour
your
work week.
thoughts?
Yeah, atomic habit was
I remember you kept
first
talking
of this
about
year.
that.
Yeah, but 2022, when I just joined, it was a 4-hour work week. That book hits me smack in the head, and it started my obsession with being a digital nomad, managing your time properly, a new type of work. It was a crazy obsession. I changed jobs tragically because of that book, and I have not left. I have not job hopped as much as I used to, just because of what that book did for me in terms of a mental shift in 2022. And then this year, we now have mind management, not time management, another REMA session for 2024. And if you have gone through the book, even if it's maybe chapter 1 or chapter 2 out of the 7, you will already begin to get a glimpse of my excitement, as it were. And I'm sure that by the time we go into the session proper, we'll all have a lot of perspectives to share and learnings that we could exchange across the room. And then when we leave here today, we will become a lot much better versions of ourselves. Okay, and let me see if Daniela is in now so that I can quickly introduce her and let her bring up her screen. Daniela, if you are in, you can start sharing your screen if you can hear me. But then just to create a background, the book is broken down into 7 chapters, and it wasn't written like a normal book that we will know in this kind of manner. It was more like a story. But then in the story, you are getting a lot of key lessons as to how you approach life in general and get the best value out of it. I think it was in chapter 2, another personal experience as well. I just remembered my first distributor I managed when I started working in PZ. I'm sure if the man hears me talking now, he'll be laughing, having a very big laugh. Because I remember back then, fresh out of school, got into PZ training school, 2 months, a lot of energy. You want to just go to the market and, scatter everywhere, smash the targets. So that's zest was there. And then every time we come back from strategy sessions and they say, oh, Chika, your target is 35 million for the month, go and get it done. I just come to my distributor location with that energy. I'm like, Tony, sit down, let's talk, how many cartons are we buying? And they're just looking at me. The guy will not even move. And after I finish ranting and talking, and he now goes and says, my son, let us go and sleep over it, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. And at first, that thing always hit me like, this guy doesn't value my time. Doesn't mean that he doesn't see the urgency, what I'm trying to achieve here. What's all this? But then, after the first, second, third, fourth iteration of that exercise, I began to see wisdom in it. Because a lot of times, a lot of us who are in sales will attest to this. The targets that come to you always seem larger than what you think you can do. So you might have a forecast of, let's say, 10 million, but your line manager is saying you're going to do 30 million. So you're thinking of how you can triple your run rates because they're saying you should go and do it. And then I'm coming to my partner to say, look, let us figure out a way to get this thing done. I'm telling you, go and sleep. Every single time, go and sleep. You come at 8 o'clock in the morning, go and sleep. You meet at 5 p.m. in the evening, go and sleep. And then the next morning, as early as 6:30 a.m., he's sitting outside under the tree waiting for you. Clockwork, he never misses it. And I would drive into the warehouse and I would tell you to come and sit down there. I say, okay, that thing you were talking about yesterday, what was it again? And for some reason, I guess that's coming, okay, we can go into this market, let us run this kind of promotion. Very calm, very serene, and we just find the answers. Reading this book, I finally saw wisdom with what that guy was doing. And like I said, lots of Rema. All right, Daniela is here. Welcome, Daniela, our able facilitator for today. We have been very excited building up to today's events, and I'm sure when she comes on board, I'll be maybe for 30 minutes because we want to keep it short and keep more of the conversation today within the room.
Yeah.
We'll get a lot of insights. Daniela, are you there? Unmute, share your screen.
All
Let's
right,
go.
Daniela. We're happy to have you. And by the way, Daniela is juggling between quite some stuff today. So, okay, if I see her, okay, let me make her co-host so she can share. Okay, Daniela, you have it now.
Chika, could you assist in sharing my screen? Oh, sorry, sharing the slides for.
Let me try.
Thank you.
For the sake of full disclosure, I now use a Linux system that I started using 1 week ago. So I'm still learning the ropes. I just decided to jump away from Windows and jump into something new. And I find myself in Linux. So let's see how well I will do on that today.
All right, fingers crossed.
Okay.
I'll say, Sunshine, I'm making you co-host. Please admit people that you say are human.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Same with Elizabeth Adaji, making you co-host so that you can help admit people.
My screen, I'm sharing
all
my
right,
screen.
I can see your screen now.
All right.
Now. Yes, awesome. I can.
Awesome.
Decide.
Okay, Daniela, over to you.
Okay. I'm going to also
Hello. Hello. Okay. Daniela, do you need some help? I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So I was saying, Could you help me unmute the Air's iPhone? The Air's iPhone, because that's where I want to talk with while I log out with this one. As the battery for this one will not be able to carry me through. So I'm trying to see if you could assist in making Air's iPhone on mute. Can you hear me loud and clear?
What would
Yes,
you
we
have
can
us
hear
do
you.
for you,
She wants
Daniel?
to
Okay.
unmute
So
Air's
a
iPhone.
device was logged in.
But she can't
The
do
name
that
is
herself, right?
Air's iPhone.
Would you be able to do that yourself?
Air's iPhone. I won't be able.
Okay.
I'm trying to unmute it.
I've asked you to unmute because I can't unmute even as the host. I can't see, but I've
Same here
sent
with
a
me.
message to you to unmute. I've sent you a message to unmute. So do you want to accept that?
I'm accepting. And it seems to, oh God.
Okay, because we can't unmute you for yourself. We can't do that
Oh,
for you.
wow. Okay. Okay, so let's see how I can work with this. All right. That's fine. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. So we'll do with this and quickly juggle this. And
All right, Daniela.
thank you everybody for thank you to the management for giving me the opportunity to take on this book with you. And I appreciate everybody's time somehow. However, it's because of trying to juggle between work and
Anyone hear
my
Daniela?
duties. So we'll just go through this book titled Mind Management Notes.
Your audio
It's
is
going
not
to be
good at all, Daniela.
just for a moment. Can you hear me?
It's just scattered and all over the place. So, and we don't want you to be talking to yourself alone. Is there anything you can improve? Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. I apologize for that. It's also partly because of the environment. The network is a little not cool here. All right. So we'll go right to the mind blowing. Is actually, it talks about how you manage your mind, not the time. I know that I've read a book about time management, and I tried to, imbibe the qualities and the things I read from the book and actually put them in practice. And, reading this book kind of opened me up to more strategies. And so this book, I recommend that even if you've not read it at this time of the day or at this time of the month, I feel like you should find time to read it, especially if you're someone who is in the creative space and you need to always be on your toes, like you need to always deliver and be productive. This book is a must for you. All right, going right straight into the book, Mind Management, Not Time Management by David Kadavy. It focuses on optimizing creativity and productivity by managing mental energy rather than just scheduling time. So basically, this book focuses on you trying to manage your mental state because that is the seat of creativity, that is the seat of productivity, that is where ideas are generated. And so David is trying to say that if you're not able to manage that space properly, you won't be as productive as you're meant to be. Now, moving on to the next slide. Which includes the chapters of the book, basically. We have chapter one, stating the mind management, not time management. Chapter two, the creative sweet spots. Chapter three, the 4 stages of creativity. Chapter four, the 7 mental states of creativity. Chapter 5, the creative circles. Chapter 6, creative system, and of course, chapter 7, creating in chaos. Now, something about these chapters and what also blew my mind about David Kadavy is the fact that he wrote this book from his perspective. Like he wrote it from telling his own story, his own experiences, and everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So he wrote this book from the point of great creativity, telling his stories on how he struggled with managing time, managing his experience, and at the end of the day, getting it. And so, I just love the fact that he imbibed the storytelling. And from the book, you can tell that this person is a storyteller. You can literally tell that he is a storyteller. So we'll be looking at, so I'm not going to be taking this review chapter by chapter, but I'm going to be taking it as a story because it's like a chronological order of things that, and processes that you need to take, understand why you should take those processes through the stories that he shared, and then of course, how you can also implement it. And that's what exactly David did in this book. So we're going to start with the mind management, not time management, particularly. Yes, that's the chapter 1. So moving on to the next slide, of course. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about mind management on time, not time management. Now, according to this book, traditional time management assumes that work is linear, but creativity requires a different approach. According to David, he said, yes, while time management always look at just being, just getting the job done, trying to do so many things or achieve so many things at the same time, within the limits of the time that is, that is allocated. So you're looking at trying to be productive, you're looking at trying to do so many things at the same time. And that's what speaks to productivity when it comes to time management. However, David is saying something different. He's telling us that no, if you're a creative person, you have to look at this then from a different approach. That you're not going to be looking at it as, the traditional time system of trying to just do so many things and then count it as being productive. Rather, if you're going to, I think he was focusing here on the quality of what you are delivering. So that is why he's saying that it has to be, on a different, it has to be taken from a different perspective and taken from a different approach. Now, the writer does a great job in highlighting and challenging common productivity myths through his experiences, making it clear why many don't get productive, basically. So moving on to, of course, the next slide. And speaking more about this, the key highlights for me from this chapter, right? Okay, yes, we look at the 2 false assumptions of time. He says the first assumption is that time management makes the first assumption of time management makes it that time management treats time as a commodity, and that is very true. While the second assumption is the false assumption that time management makes it that being productive is about producing. So being productive, that is exactly what I explained. You want to just do so many things at the same time. You want to just do so many things, and then when you are doing so many things, it means you're achieving something without looking at the quality of what you are trying to produce. So David is saying, no, this is like the false assumption actually. But that if we want to be creative in the creative industry, and if we want to be very productive and you want to deliver quality things, you need to, like I said, the mind is the seat of creativity. So you need to be in a state where your mind is constantly giving you what is meant to give you. And that is why you have to take a different approach. So managing your mental state is more effective than just managing hours. So in Nigeria now, right, where we have to do so many things, and so you are faced with any stress from traffic, stress from work. As a married person, you have to think of your husband, or your kids, and how to also cater to their needs as well. And so there are several factors that may not get you to be at the peak of your productivity. Now, David is saying if you're able to manage your mental state, that you're able to manage the stress, find your peak period, and use or get productive within those your peak periods, then you would deliver great results. right? And so he gave us, he also shared his own story of how he had to go through this process as well. There was a time where he was leaving, and had to leave I think, was it Colombia or he had to leave his present state because he understood that that place was not going to give him the best. That place was not going to give him the best of the results he wanted. And so he had to move, he had to travel. And when he traveled, he found, his sweet spot. He found that particular place that at the end of the day, he could do, like his creativity was flowing and he was able to deliver and write the books that he wrote. So hold on a second. Let me say just some of the things I jotted down, which were majorly the key highlights for me. So yes, basically for the managing your mind and of course not your time, is saying that you have to understand how your brain cycles work through focus, creativity, and of course fatigue. You have to factor all of those things together to now find your creative spot. So yes, I think I'm even going to the next chapter already. But in this particular one, basically, David was saying that we should not focus on just being productive, like just working and getting results, but you should consider the quality of the results you are getting. So everybody is a writer, but not everybody is a deep writer. There are books you can read and they're just giving you shallow knowledge, but there are books you read. I know that this person sat down and made in-depth research about the book he was writing. And of course, you know that this process is given, that this case
Hello, Daniel, are you there?
Difference. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't get audio as well.
Okay. So yeah,
She's
now
still on the
let's
call.
move on.
She's speaking, but I can't hear her.
Can you
Yeah, I
hear
can see
me?
that your mic is moving, but we can't hear you. No
Can
audio
you
from your
hear
end.
me? Can you hear me?
I can hear her.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that.
I can hear her also.
Oh, okay. Okay, Chika, maybe check your connection. I was almost scared that nobody was hearing me at this time. All right. Can we move to the next slide? Hello, Chika, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm not sure. Are you sure it's
Okay,
not other people's?
okay, so maybe it's
I can
also
hear you.
from. All right, Matt. So I'll
So
just
sorry. Let's
continue.
just do a quick check. Let's do a quick check. Who else cannot hear Daniela? Okay, I'm looking in the chat box now.
I can't hear Daniela too, but I can hear you, Madam. If I heard other people, but I can't hear Daniela.
I can
audio
hear her, but it's not clear. The audio is not clear enough, but I can hear her.
Daniela, we're not. You put in some work into this. It will be good to enjoy what you have put together for us. So, Aret says it is faint. My says he cannot hear at all.
Wow.
So Elizabeth says she can't hear too. And yesterday says wondering if she needs to log out and back in. Daniela, please, is there a way you can just move around it where you are? I know they have an office event, but sadly, she just got to know about it yesterday. So she's at the event, but she had to use another place to quickly just hold this before she joins the rest of her team. So let's, I mean, really, if you can find somewhere good so that even you, when you do your, when we take the replay, you can like what you see or what you hear rather. So is there something you can do? I know we want to do lots of prompts. Pardon?
I just refreshed my network now. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Others,
I can hear her now.
please? Okay.
I wasn't hearing her before, but I can hear her now.
Okay, it appears to have improved. So let's.
Okay, great. So I'm going to move to the next slide quickly. And I'm guessing, yes, this is like the best part of this book I read. Okay, so
Okay.
looking at the creative
Is anyone
spot,
trying to say something? Please, you have to mute. Do
Let's
we
go
have
ahead. I've
on?
muted the person.
Okay,
I
thank
think it was
you.
a mistake.
Okay, let's go on then.
okay.
Thank you.
So now the creative sweet spot is a mental state where ideas flow freely and problem solving becomes easier. Now, according to David Kadavy, he said it is the time and place where you do your best creative work. So creative sweet spot is the big rock around which you build your schedule and routine. Now, basically, he simplified this creative spot being one as the place where you're supposed to do your best. So it's like the thing when I mentioned your peak period, it's something like that, right? The time when your mind is restful and ideas are flowing and you're calm and then you can deliver. You know, there are times when you're under stress and you try to deliver under stress. It's different when you're in a different environment where you are calm, where you're calculated, when everything like it's all going smoothly and you're, you know, actively doing your work. There's always a difference between, you know, the quality of both work. So of course, David was saying here that the time and place where you do your creative work is your creative sweet spot. And of course, when you're trying to now find that time where you can build your schedule, it is on that also that's creative spot. It is also that place where you can build your schedule and routine. Things you get used to. For instance, for myself, I notice at home, by the time I come back to work, I'm always very tired, and the first thing I want to do is sleep. Usually, I will try to work first, do some clean my desk, you know, when I get home before, when I get home before before going to bed. But I realized that sleeping first does the magic for me. So by the time I sleep first and I wake up something around 12 and 1, I am calmer and more populated and I'm more refreshed. So I'm able to now say, okay, let's try to, do the best you can do with this moment, in this moment of peace and just being flexible. And so I try to do some of the work that I want to do, that the most important things for me to do before I say, okay, let me have an hour's sleep and then get ready for work for the next day. So yes, finding your creative sweet spot helps you become very, very creative. And just follow me through this journey. For me, this creative sweet spot, which is I think around the chapter 2 of the book, basically helps you to highlight and identify how you flow best. So it talks about how you can also find more tools that can assist in your daily life. So let's see some of the things I jotted down here. I hope I'm able to. Please give me a moment. Give me a moment. I really just don't want to leave any stone unturned. Okay, so I think we should move on to the next slide. Yes, the next slide explains better of what I'm trying to explain. I think talking about the can you help me with that? All right, the first hour rule. Yes. So still speaking on this productivity and your creative spot. So David also highlighted that the first 4 hours is simply spend the first 4 hours of the day working on your most important project and your most important projects only. Now, rushing into execution without this sweet spot leads to poor results instead. So let ideas incubate before forcing action. And how you can let ideas incubate really is when you are also able to harness that's your creative spot. That's your peak period. So this first hour, it's also like saying the peak period I was talking about, and of course your creative sweet spot as well. He actually he said so many things about this. And he also says, if you notice, that your best ideas come randomly, right? And so in this chapter, and in this particular, yes, this chapter basically of the creative spot, he was saying that you should find, when you're able to find your creative spot, when you're able to find your peak period, you are also able to build your schedule around around that peak period. You know, you're also able to build your schedule and your time and, you know, prioritize the things you're meant to prioritize to get productive and get the quality of the work done better. And that explains this particular one. So I move on to the next. I think this next one talks about the 4 stages of creativity. And yes, of course, Kadavy also went on to talk about the 4 stages, talk about the preparation stage. He says this is where, you know, you learn about the problem, you identify the problem, of course, and then the second stage, of course, is the illumination stage. He also mentioned this, you know, around when he was also explaining the creative sweet spot. You know, there's a point where you hit, and then you also just notice that this is the aha moments for you. That yes, you hit the light. You're probably working on something for long. You've been working on a project for long, and then you're not just finding headway, or you're not satisfied because you think that you are not getting what you should get. He suggests that you should leave it, and that's where he also explained the loophole, like the how did we want to put it again? Oh, he called it something. I'm trying to remember now. He called it something, but I'll get to that point. So he says that when you create these moments, these loops in your mind, you're giving your mind something to work on, such that when you're not doing anything, your passive time, like when you're going about your normal activities, your brain automatically just begins to find the right answers for you to do that job and get that job done. And so you find that at the end of the day, you are able to, so by the time you're doing this, you can find that aha moment, that insightful moment that it just clicks for you, you know, because you've been able to give yourself time enough to sit down, you know, on the problem, deliberate on the problem, and let your passive mind also do its own work of going around to pick and find. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, it gives your brain enough time to think and learn about the problem, and then give you sight. And when that moment of illumination comes, you know that, oh, there's no going back on this thing, just like your breakthrough moment. And so that's then of course the last stage of creativity, of course, is the verification stage, where the idea arrived during after the idea has arrived during the illumination stage, you know. You're now able to go through some researches and, you know, verify it basically through the processes of checking, fact checking, reading, making your research, and then drawing analysis of the problem. Of course, you know, go ahead to like this is it. All right, so moving on.
Okay, I think the audio has gone back to. So that really not so clear one. And everyone, I haven't been seeing. I've not been seeing engagements in the chat box. Are we good? Are we following? Hi, everyone.
I was about to ask
the
same thing. Yeah, I wanted to pause Daniela a bit.
Your people are not talking, Chika.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I wanted to pause Daniela for a bit there and, you know, get some feedback from the room based on the things that we have shared, talking around the, you know, changing your perception around time in itself, not being a straightforward linear construct, and then looking at it like an asset that you invest, like how you say, oh, I have a budget of 10 million, I want to grow it into this. So when you look at time in that manner, you're able to allocate it properly and then put it through the right channels just to ensure that you are getting the most out of it. And that's what Daniela has tried to share with us. Will anybody in the room want to learn a few words? I mean, this is like the first 1 or 2 chapters in the book. Anybody?
Let's lend our voices to.
I have some questions though, so maybe if I ask the question, it might drag some people out of their shell.
Okay, let's hear them.
Hello, Chika. Are we still talking?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm talking.
Oh,
I was trying to see if I could get feedback from the room. So I have one question. From what Daniela has shared so far, yes, the title
Daniela,
of
you
the
can,
book
while
says.
you're speaking, pull back your screen, okay? So that,
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Chika.
So, for all Daniela have shared, the title of the book says time management, mind management, not time management. Do we agree fully? Let's be honest, because I mean, all of us grew up writing to-do lists, and we have done that for the best part of our adult life. Are we not going to change all of that because of what I've heard today?
We speaking.
Anybody?
Team Alpha, are you there? Team Gamma.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm
can I
here.
say something? Okay.
Lolade spoke up first, so let him go first. Sure, you can just go next after him. Lolade,
Yes,
please
please
go
go.
ahead.
Okay, you mean Oladele, right?
Oladele, yes, sorry.
All right, thank you. That's fine. So, and thank you, Daniela, for that, and for it's been a very good review. So, on what you asked, that if we agree time management and mind management, if it's mind management, not time management, if we agree, and I will say yes, I actually agree. I know that in the introduction part, David he painted a picture of, not that he painted a picture, he told the story of when he packed his bags, he went somewhere, he has done this timing, a schedule, and everything was going to do to write some things. And he said something around that sometimes he has gotten those times. Are you getting that? But you will just see that it was so blank. Are you getting that? And when I was reading that part, I just look at it that this guy is just saying something that is very relatable to me. Because I've had some situations where we know this time is there, and you even have some things to do. Those things are there, and you just discover that around that time, you just lack that motivation. I lack motivation to do that. It has happened to me not once, not twice. And one of the things I also learned from this board, though I've also heard it somewhere before, I've had some situation where after we plan that, you just have to abandon that. Just abandon that thing. Just try and find something else to do. And Daniela has mentioned that getting that your creative sweet spot. And I think it's really, really worked. That when you now come back, within very short time, you will achieve much more than the time we just allocated time to do this thing. But when you've not got that mental, capacity to get around that time, you won't really achieve that much. So I totally agree with him about this, that the mind management, when I work on that more, it works more and it works better than just doing time management. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oladele. Thank you very much. Your summary, it was spot on. No other words to say besides that. Sheung, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
We can hear you.
I think
Alright.
we
So
all
for
are
me,
understanding.
I
Hello,
think
can you hear
while
me?
reading it too,
Daniela, we are trying to have a conversation. Or do we need to release you soon? Okay, Sheung,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Sheung, please go ahead.
Okay, but hold on a bit, Sheung. Chika, let's also consider Daniela needs to join a team back.
Yes.
Do we get
I
her
was
to
wondering
just
if I could just finish and then I can now be
She has
passive
less
and
than 5
listen
minutes
in
to
the
wrap up.
background to others.
Pardon that, Sheung. Please just hold that thought. Like I already explained on behalf of Daniela, she has an office engagement this evening, and she just had to quickly come out to get this done since she has been she's been on it for a while. All right, please take the last aspect of your presentation.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. I really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do now is also highlight basically majority of the places that was it for me. Now, if you look at David Kadavy also mentioned something about creative systems, and he mentioned that I'm not just going to be following the slides now because I think I have like less than 5 minutes because I'm being called now. So creative system, basically, he said basically that this particular one is where you're able to put on actionable steps. Basically, it's like following a process where you've been able to harness your creative sweet spots to set a schedule and routine for yourself, such that you're doing some repetitive work this time around that just requires less energy, and that's because you've been able to manage your mental state very well. And so because of it, you are also very, very productive. Now, according to David as well, he says that the creative system harnesses the power of creative circle. Of course, you understand that the 4 stages of creativity, takes you through a chip of process that sets systems for you. Now, he also says that the smallest dose you can take to get an effect from okay, now let's look at the smaller. He was talking about the minimum creative dose still under this creative system. Now he says that the minimum creative dose, the smallest dose you can take to get an effect from that medication. He was giving an instance where, okay, I think someone is sick or so, and then you have to administer drugs, for the person to get well. And so they tell you, oh, take this medication for 3 days. You take the first one in the morning, you take it in the night, you take the second day, and then you continue like that. And so by the time you're done third day, you are hale and hearty. Now, according to David here, he's saying that in creativity as well, we can also add this creating every day to your daily life for you. I think I mentioned something about the loops where you have roles and then allow your passive mind to now recogitate on what you want to do. And by the time you're now back on your routine, you have to be filled with so much ideas that you have enough to, deliver on a particular project you are trying to now.
Yeah, there are different policies.
That the first thing you want to do is create the problem. What is the problem about? And then by creating the problem, you are doing that at that point. Remember that we've gone through the stages of creativity, of course, the creative cycles as well, right? And you know that at a particular time you have to leave this project and then get on with your other work and then come back to it. But by the time you have created a problem, it means you're giving that your mind.
Uyi, please mute. Uyi, please.
Can you hear me?
I'm getting some interference. I'm trying to help you. Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Just a bit of interference, but it's being controlled. Thank you.
Okay, I apologize. Really.
No, not from your side, actually. It was from the room. Please go ahead.
So he said that when it comes, okay. Now, David said that when it comes to creating productivity, right? By the time you're putting those small doses of what you want to do, let's say, for instance, you want to write a book. I want to talk about, let's use this time management. Now, I want to want to write something about how to manage your mind and how to manage your time.
I think Daniela has dropped off. Okay.
So Chika, I would just suggest that
But
we just go through the conversation.
yeah, sure.
I think
All right. Please confirm you can hear me
we
clearly.
can just Chika.
Hello, can you hear me? Please confirm you can you
Yes,
hear
Chika.
me?
Yes,
Chika, we can
yes.
hear you.
All right, okay. Let me go ahead. I think Daniela has dropped off. Was actually expecting 8 o'clock, but maybe she couldn't make it to the end. But no issues. Just moving ahead. She has covered pretty much what constitutes the better part of the book. That's the key idea areas. One of them being the fact that, of course, we have to change our mindsets around how we perceive time in itself. And then secondly, creating that creative sweet spots where we understand that creativity happens in phases. And then rather than jumping the steps, we allow ourselves to go through the phases and get the best out of the process. She was also talking about how we um tying it back to the first point around time not being a linear concept entirely, but an asset that you allocate and manage to achieve the best results. Another part that the author also mentioned is trying to look at your mental energy, and that's what Oladele was trying to say, where he said you would have done a to-do list, so the time is actually allocated for the task, but you sit down there and then there's no energy, there's low energy, there's no motivation to get anything done. And it's looking like you're just wasting your time. But because you have said you must do it, you sit through that hell for the period that you have allocated and still don't achieve anything. But with what the author has made us understand, is not saying that we should turn it around and look for times where we are most productive. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm a morning person. So just like when they said the first hour rule, do your most critical tasks in the morning. So for me, yes, I work 8 to 5, but I resume every day at 6 a.m. So if I'm going to work from home,
Work.
I start my work at
What's
6
the
a.m. in the
distance?
morning.
What's the distance from your home to work?
So from my home to work, I live in Bagada, I work in VI, so that's 21 kilometers. When I leave my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm done in 25 minutes. So my commute is 25 minutes going, 25 minutes coming back. So I leave at 5 a.m. or latest 5:30, and by 6 a.m. I'm already in the office and I start working. And I realized that the amount of work I do between 6 a.m. and maybe 7:15 when people start coming in, when the work is not at 8 o'clock, I might not be able to do it from 8 to 12. Then to not flip it on its head, when it comes to tasks that I don't like, so for example, laundry, I don't like doing laundry. Whether it's hand wash, whether it's machine wash, I don't just like doing laundry. So the only day I want to do laundry is the first thing I do in the day. I wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning or 5:30, and I just go at it, because that is when I have the highest energy in me. So that mountain I need to climb, which is the laundry, I climb it at 5 a.m. in the morning, and that is it. So it just kind of buttresses what the author was trying to say. And if you look at times where we, make some key wins, you see that somehow we have been applying some key elements of what the author is trying to say, or albeit unknowingly. If I go on mute now and ask everybody, one or two persons to unmute, you also see elements of what I'm trying to say here based on our own personal experiences. But something that struck me, two things actually, is where, which is why you keep hearing me saying time as an asset that you allocate. The author talked about time asset and time debts, and then rethinking procrastination. That second part is the one that was the real remedy, because for a very long time, I used to think that I always found excuse not to do anything. I would procrastinate until the very last minute. It was until maybe very recently that I kind of started owning it and trying to make the best of it. But reading the book now, I now realized in hindsight that all that while I was procrastinating, I was actually allowing my creativity to flow. And I'll give an example again. I mean, any business leader will understand this. In budget season, when you're trying to, put out budgets, commercial, marketing, all of that, it's always hell week. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks that everybody's deep inside Excel and crunching numbers. You can't sleep. I'm the only person who doesn't have that phobia, because while everybody's running around and not sleeping, I am sleeping well. And all that while, I'm just trying to figure out in my head how I can get that thing done in my best 30 minutes. Sometimes it can be early, sometimes it can be the very last minutes. But when I actually get to my laptop and open the Excel sheet and start building it out, I have never done it more than 30 minutes. Never. When I moved into internship for the first time, my first line manager saw it like, this guy, you're not serious. I have to sit down and explain, madam, it's not that I'm not serious. It's just that the way I operate, sometimes I like to, take some time to figure it out in my head. So when I go into the system, I will just put it down like I'm just pouring it out, like pouring water into a bucket. And then she said, okay, let me see how it goes. And she let me go. And what we have been working on from like 8 a.m. to like 2 o'clock, I left her office, went downstairs to one cubicle, and in like 15, 20 minutes, I sent her the budget in her email. Like, wow. And that is it. But it works for me. So one of the biggest learnings for me is that finally I'm not longer ashamed of being a procrastinator. What I now learned to do is to now appreciate the process and make the best use of it. Let me go on mute for a bit. I know earlier Shane was trying to share some thoughts around her own learnings in the book, although tied to my first question around if we're going to consider time management the traditional way we've always done it, or mind management as we're learning to do it on this call today. Shane, do you still want to come on board and share what you had in mind earlier, or something else based on what we have spoken about?
All right, thank you. So reading chapter 1 and 2 for me was a real eye-opener for me, because this month, or rather throughout this year, I've actually been trying to be consistent with my to-do list. But I realized that there were some tasks that I had put on the to-do list that did not see the break of the day, and they kept coming up each time. So what I now learned from this is to identify my creative hours and then be able to work on my to-do list using that creative time. So working based on my mind and my energy, when I have the most energy to do the most creative things. Also, as a mom, because I'm an early morning person, there's a tendency to spend your early morning doing school runs, doing all those things, and then at the end of the day, you're now exhausted when you're getting to work, when you're supposed to be working. So I'm also working on how I can ensure that my creative time, my best time of the day, when my mental energy is high, is actually used for productivity. Secondly, last year I wanted to write a book, and I realized that I wasn't able to write it. Well, reading through this book now made me realize that I probably was at different seasons of the book. So Yes, ma. So
Yes, yes, please speak on.
yeah, so if I had read this book before then, I probably would have handled it differently. So it was a lot for me, and I'm truly happy reading the book. So for the to-do list, for me, I'm not going to do away with it. Rather, I'm going to adjust it based on my energy circles. Thank you.
Very good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sheung. There was something that you said there that I really want us to dwell on, where you talked about being a mother and, trying to balance the home front with work. And of course, that part of your life makes it impossible for you to make some excuse like myself. I would say I will get to the office at 6 o'clock in the morning. If I was a mom, I probably wouldn't be able to do that because I need to take my kids to school first. So I would like maybe other women in the house who are in similar mind space to probably share their own experience and probably other ways we feel that we can manage this better, just so that we can get the best of our day every day. Because trust me, I've had to cover for my wife a couple of times when she's on leave,
Okay.
or I'm on leave, and I know it's hell, and I'm not even working. I'm just doing the homework, and I'm drowning, and this woman does it every day, double sides of the coin without breaking a sweat. So I don't think I'm in the best position to advise here. Let me go on mute so I can hear from the superheroes in the house.
All right, and I'm sure we have a handful of them. So let's hear from you.
Madam Ife, you can talk. Oh.
Okay. I would really love to contribute, and thanks to Oluwaseun for starting up on stuff for women, especially corporate busy women that have to juggle between not just work sometimes, life generally, and inside that life is where you have family, and we have various commitments also outside your nuclear family. Some could be like I have to deal with managing this community. And guess how it's been? Not that it's really easy, but one thing, if you guys can still hear me, I'm getting poor
Yes.
signal stuff here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But can you all
Clear.
still hear me? All right. Okay, I'm getting the signal. Okay. So is having a support system, as you would notice, we have a team of people who coordinate. It's such that sometimes when I'm not in that mental state, we are there to just get ourselves. I get busy. Sometimes they get busy. I have to, jump in and get things done. So you can also do that in your personal life. Like I always say, if you have gotten to a certain stage, and maybe I should withdraw that a bit, but I tell you, based on what your priorities are per time, there are things that you can delegate. So don't try to do it all. It's like the washing of clothes and all of that. If you have the means and wherewithal, some people could say, I know washing machine spoils fabric. Some people sometimes I've always known this, could get some guys to come to the house who could, take that off your plate, depending on how filled your plate is. There are some stuff that are like the low-hanging fruits, things, should I call them low-hanging fruits? If they're low-hanging fruit, maybe you can do those ones, but you don't want to do those ones when you still have the big chunk of to do, things that are weighty, things that also matter, things that would either move you forward in your career or would impact your business, depending on what stage you are in. So you want to deal with those small things that can take up big time and focus on those big things that if you just put in the power of focus, you can achieve them in little time. Just like the example that Chika has rightly given. They are big stuff, things that if you don't focus, if you don't pay attention, if you don't push away distraction and focus on getting it done, they will become a burden, and it would also make you look inefficient. you want to carve out time to get those things small that can be outsourced. Who want to get certain things done. This is just, there has been something, but as things get more busy and complex, as you also rise and grow in your life's journey, you have to learn to first have the right support system. Support system, even in your family, in your family, have the learn to outsource those two things, and don't joke with them as you grow, because you just see those small things. They will now all become overwhelming. And don't forget your mental and your state of mind is also important for you to have optimal performance either at work or for your efficiency wherever. So please, depending on what works for you, I've just described what what I found useful in my own. What wraps it up is the state of your mind. If you have to take up everything, all the balls you are juggling, and you want to be the one who is handling all of it, you just be a mess. And those places you're supposed to show up at and show up well, you now be like a shadow of yourself, and that you want to also avoid. I mean, I've seen some people who are like big professionals at work just losing their top. Any small thing will trigger them just because they're actually being overwhelmed, whether with life, with work, with family, and if God, if it just suddenly then happens, maybe they're also having some challenges with their spouse. So they come to work and they're like a ticking time bomb. And you just see such unprofessionalism happen. And I will not use that example. I've seen myself, just having a chat with people like that, to say, what's going on in your space? Do you want to take a break? And people too should also know when to also take a break. I'm sure Chika too, if it goes on this 6 a.m. Streak for many weeks and many months, it will tell on his health too. So that's very important. And I like his idea because they don't want to go where everybody's going, so they can get things done. And then later, when the traffic would have subsided, they then join the traffic home. I mean, like the now less traffic back to their home. So you just have to be smart. It's about the mind. So is it time management? Is it mind management? I like that argument. Before you can manage time, you have to also have some discipline. That discipline, I think, is what is at the center of it all. Put your priorities right. And I tell you, that grid of what's important, is the most important, necessary, or what's that full grid, I think people should still find it useful. I always tell people who are starting out in their career journey that they should just consider that. Who remembers that full grid?
Yeah, that's Eisenhower matrix.
Did you say Eisenhower?
Eisenhower matrix, yeah.
Eisenhower, yes, Eisenhower matrix. So it still works. Just have what's that full postcard A4 on your desk, and you just do it quick, and then you see, just throw them in. What do I need to get out before 12 noon today? Let's say you are starting the day. What do I need to get out? What needs to be done like before 12 noon today? What are the other things that you could ask someone in your team to do? And I give there's one example. So I'm on a project at work, and there's a task that in my work stream I'm supposed to complete. Guess what? If I were to I actually wanted to sit down, getting all the data, and I wanted to sit down and get it done. So I just happened to have I had a question while I was trying to put it together, and I asked a guy in finance, and he answered me the question. And he now called me. I said, "What do you need it for?" I said, "Oh, I'm compiling." He said, "They already have it." Can you imagine that they already have that compilation? Do you know that would have taken me like 3-4 hours to do, if not 5 to do? And guess what? It's sitting somewhere. A team already has it. So sometimes you want to also check so that you are not reinventing the wheel. It can be anything. You want to also check. Oh, I mean, just look I mean, that kind of data or information or report. Who is likely to have? You want to ask, do you have this kind of a thing already? Even if it is not updated, but at least you are starting from somewhere. You are not starting from the scratch. Okay, so these are some of the things I think it's important in managing our time, our life. So it's not manage time, right? Manage your mind. And it is how you work. Also, with your mind, you also decide when you network, you are open to you're open to other people's idea. You are not the know-it-all. So you just see that down the cadre, some of the things that you are really struggling to get done, some of them can actually do it in just split minutes. So I will not take, I said we should wrap up at 8:15 and I'm the one still talking. Where is everyone?
Thank you, Madam Ife. I've been writing notes down here since we have been talking, and not to like reiterate, but just to get a bit more personal perspective across. So you mentioned something around support and family, and when you said that, I just remembered my kids. So I go home. I have two kids. The older one is 6, the younger one is 3, and when their mom goes to work and I'm at home with them, I just noticed that when it gets to like 6 p.m., they know that mom will soon be back. They start cleaning up everywhere. And then the first time I noticed it, it looked like I was catching cruise. I said, okay, no, well, let me observe what will happen. And then when my wife came back at like 7, the younger one goes and said, Mommy, do you like the parlor? Do you like it? And of course, she didn't answer. And I asked her, why do you ask? Because we cleaned it. Like, okay. So apparently, the young child who is 3 years old is already part of the support system in the house. And he knows that if he doesn't clean the house, my wife will
Yes,
probably need to do it
pick
or
up
have to
all
do
their
it.
toys and all of
And
that.
then
Otherwise,
exactly,
you just be
it's beyond that they
venting
will
and
sweep, they will start mopping up stains on the floor. 3 and 6, very amazing stuff. In
tell
the
you, and it's
afternoon, they want
always
to eat, they will come and say, Daddy, I'm hungry. There's a leftover spag in the fridge. Can I put it in the microwave? What number should I put it on? I'm like, okay, go ahead, sort yourself out. So that support system, you can't do away with it, whether it's at home, whether it's at work. It just kind of helps you to get off what the author calls time debts, activities that don't compound over time, repetitive tasks that will just water down your energy, your mental energy, and
correct.
leave you almost empty for you to be able to face what actually matters. Then the second part of what you're also saying is that also came to me is automation. So one of my mentors, I was having a chat with her one day, and I said, a lot of people use all this AI, cloud AI, ChatGPT, and I don't use it. And it makes me feel like I'm old. And she's laughing. This one who has 25 years experience, so it's older than me. And like, Chica, you are sleeping on a gold mine. I use all the AIs. I have AI for everything. And I'm like, wow. And then she goes around showing me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for
Mind
example,
management.
exactly. So for example, the Eisenhower matrix that I just mentioned here, the first time I saw it in practical was from her, and she showed me with a Google Sheet. So she has a Google Sheet that she fills every Sunday. The first column is the activity, the second column is the time required. And then I think there's a fourth one that says weight or something like that. And then on the second sheet, it populates what she fills there into the 4 grids. And she has a pie chart. So when she looks at when she fills all the tasks by herself, very objectively, the graph is populated on the other side. She's not even seeing it. By the time she now goes to the second sheet and sees the results, it's not clear what needs to be done and what needs to be delegated. And that drives her activity for the week. And I asked, why did you separate it? He said, no, if you put it together, you might be biased. But I start seeing some things going into the delegate, do not do, or keep in view. You start feeling like, but this thing, if I don't do it now, mommy will feel bad, or my friend will think I'm not productive. But really, it's not important. You shouldn't even be considering it at this particular point in time, based on the objective rankings that you have given to all the tasks that are pending for you to be achieved in that week. And just like you said earlier about how one needs to also rest. So like, I don't do 6 a.m. every day and go on break. I go on break every day. So I resume at 6 a.m. I close at 3 p.m. By 3:30, I'm back in my house. So the
Good.
rest is every day. I rinse and repeat so that I can have that energy level available to me every morning.
Optimum.
And that is my own formula. So
So don't find what works for you. I think that's the advice to everyone. You will just.
but I have one last question before we wrap up, and it talks around protecting your creative flow. I know a lot of us here have different techniques. Shegun talked about to-do lists. Some people will say they have alarms on their phone. I have some colleagues who set multiple alarms every day, one at 10 a.m., one at 12 noon. And when those alarm rings, it triggers some activity. Some we used to do maybe like the Muslims, they used to pray. Some say they have a water target they want to consume every day. So once they hear the alarm, they take a sip of water. It all depends. So I'd just like to hear across the room, what do you do to, keep yourself in the zone so that once you get that point where you are driving your productivity, you don't get distracted? What's your formula?
Okay. Do we start calling names? Augustine, I've not heard from you today. And David Obapolo, please share. Augustine, did you hear Chika's question? And David Obapolo.
I was asking what techniques do we use in our day-to-day, even before reading the book, to try and keep ourselves in the zone, protect our mental health
Who is
and ensure that we're
responding
productive.
house?
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening,
Can
Augustine.
hear me. All right, good. Let's go.
For me, basically, in fact, I do not use any form of tools or any form of system. I don't have any system in place where
Okay.
I get myself, where I do a form of reminder or to drive that consciousness, of me doing a particular, doing a particular job or doing a particular assignment at any point in time. For me, basically, I don't use alarm, so in that I don't know. So basically, it doesn't have to do with I can't I don't know. Basically,
So there's
it's
no
not
formula. You just wing it.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. That means you have been following the book without even knowing. Interesting. Anybody else? Elizabeth, Sunshine, Ogochukwu, Jennifer.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Elizabeth.
Okay, so I will just try to answer the question based on one of the key learnings I've had so far. So I think one of the ways I can keep myself being productive without getting distracted is someone has said it, but I just feel like that's what I also do. To-do
Okay.
lists. So to-do lists are always very helpful for me. And my to-do list is very personal because I don't like sharing it because people will laugh when they see a lot of things I put there. So I put everything because I know that sometimes, we talked about peak periods. So once that inspiration hits, I'm in the zone. I won't even remember that, oh, I said I was going to pick something up from the grocery store. Oh, I said I was going to get my son something. I won't remember any of those things because what's on my head at that point is just to get this thing done and get it done very well in the shortest possible amount of time. So my to-do list helps me because once I'm done, leveling that mountain, as it were, that task I wanted to do, I have to go back to my to-do list and say, okay, what else have I missed? Oh, I said I was going to bring the stew from the freezer. Hey, so, all the to-do lists really help. To-do lists really help me to, keep myself productive and void of distractions. Thank you.
Okay, so hold that thought.
The audio at my side or has? Okay.
I hold that thought, Elizabeth. I wanted to ask you some questions. So in the book, the author talked around mental energy cycles, And from his own recommendation, it says the cycles of that energy, peak energy, the crest, the trough, the crest, the trough throughout the day lasts, recycles every 90 to 120 minutes. So meaning that in a 2-hour window, you will go from ground zero to 100 and go back down every 90 minutes or every 2 hours and so on and so forth. Do you have that pattern in your own day-to-day activities? And are you how are you able to like manage your tasks within that window if you're able to observe it? Because you said you use to-do list very strictly.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Chika. So, for me, those things happen, yes. I wouldn't say that they are I'm always very careful to overgeneralize things or speak generically. But I think this happens to almost everyone. Everyone has that time. For example, I have those times when inspiration hits, and it could even be when I'm not even doing anything related to that thing I wanted to achieve. It just strikes me. So I quickly try to take
Remind the
notes on
shower.
my yeah. So what I do is because I've realized that if I do not act on that moment, I would lose it. So I just quickly grab my phone and drop some things in the notes. Maybe it's an idea I wanted to crack and all. And after I do that, so I'm giving this as an example, I'm not taking my laptop to expand on the idea. Something just strikes me. So I just jotted it down. So what I do is at that point, most times the inspiration just goes away. Like I don't even
Yeah.
feel the
Yeah.
urge. I don't feel like let me get my laptop and expand on this idea. It just drops. So and I don't force it. I just leave it alone. But because I have gotten, bullet points of what I want to do. So once I give myself a break and I get back, then I can now begin to expand when it hits again. But the truth is life doesn't really work that way all the
Not
time. It's not
linear.
every time you
Yeah.
need your mind to work that your mind works. So I try to be a bit kind with myself. When I'm in the zone, I do the best I can. And even sometimes at the office, people are like, won't you give yourself a break? I'm like, no, if I don't do this thing now, it's going to run away from my mind. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. You did. You did. And just to also add to what you were saying, so I kind of I relate 100%. And in my own case, there are two hacks I use to avoid having that idea drop off. And one of them is this physical pen and paper. You can never see me without it. I write, write, write. Because I see that when you put something on your phone as a note or on your laptop somewhere, when you carry the phone, you will most likely dive into WhatsApp first, maybe jump into YouTube, Instagram, email, and forget that you had a note somewhere you want to go and pick up. But if it's a notebook, once you flip the book, you will see it and you continue writing on top of it. So it always helps me. And that thing I also do again is I have Excel workbooks on my laptop. Like I have an extension called workbook, and on that or worksheet or whatever, on each of the sheets has one idea. So the day I want to do 10x growth projection for the next 5 years, there's a sheet for it, and I'm jotting my ideas and I'm putting numbers behind it. I'm scaling and doing iteration and all of that, models and all of that. The day I want to do an idea around how I can improve productivity in my team, I just create a new sheet, productivity in my team. I'm putting down the ideas, I'm putting some numbers behind it, KPIs, and able to track and measure, and it's there. And when the file start getting like maybe 25 MB, because the sheets are now so plenty, I create a new one. So I have a version 1, version 2, version 3, and so on and so forth. So maybe that can also help you. Sunshine, your hand has been off for so long. Hope it's not paining you. Please go ahead.
I'll say.
Hello, hello, Sunshine. And now your hand is down. I can't see you again. Are you still here?
Okay, so I think we can begin to wrap up. We have let's really, really wrap up. Okay,
All
so
right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, for the time. This, like I said when I was opening, this book is loaded. It's a very, very, it's not a soccer punch. It's more like Rema. And if you digest it as in depth as the author has written it, you're going to have a lot of things in your life change in terms of how you view and appreciate your daily activities, as well as how you go about executing your daily tasks. So thank you so much for your time and your audience. I will hand over now back to Ife to,
Super well done to the duo of Daniela Awo and Chika Kaize. I'm sure we all had a good time. You want to give them all the right emojis to appreciate both of them for the book review. I was hoping I would see okay. I believe you're giving them their thumbs up and applause. So thank you both for making this happen, and of course for the engagement, for the thought-provoking questions. And I hope that every one of us, let me say, I trust that we would make some changes in our personal and professional life. Just everyone's case is unique and everyone's life is also unique. So just see what works for you and apply it for your own efficiency and effectiveness, okay? In business and of course in family life and all the other balls that we have to juggle. For next month, the book we are reviewing, now we're in the new month already. Recall that we mentioned that our February book review spilled into March. So by 22nd, we want to meet again. Okay, let's make this work. 22nd, let's make this work. And this is where we have our quarterly multiple book reviewers. And Dominique Uwagbarocha will be moderating, while Akinjutire Dayo, Elijah Amuson, Elizabeth Adaji, and Samson Simpson. These are the team that would, this is the team that would take us on the book, The First Rule of Mastery. Stop worrying about what people think of you. I'm sure this is going to generate a lot of talk. So better get into the book already and start reading. In each of our sub-team, our team Alpha, Beta, Delta, Epsilon, and Gamma, please, the leads, and even if you're not a lead, you want to also trigger conversation within your sub-team. On this note, I want to say thank you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And if you still have questions or additional thoughts, of course, our closed group is open. So please drop in your thoughts and input or questions. So put it in the closed group. Then let's keep having conversation. Maybe from tomorrow, we can start broadening ourselves about the book for the month of March. On this note, everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.